Parliament officially opens today for the year 2021. This annual event brings together under one roof the three main organs of state. Often known for its pomp and flair, this year's opening will not comprise military processions, ceremonies, and performances due to the pandemic and its subsequent protocols. As such, today will be scaled down to a virtual event, and joining us now with more is Public Relations Officer David Nahogandja. Good morning, David, and welcome to Good Morning Namibia.
Good morning, Denver. Good morning, viewers, and thank you for having me.
I think it's important to first reflect on the way last year unfolded. Now, last year, because of the advent of COVID-19, was characterized by a lot of disruption. How would you describe, despite those challenges, the effectiveness of Parliament?
Yes, you're correct. Last year, we started off with the swearing in of the 7th Parliament, and that was on the 20th of March. But 2 days before that, Parliament, the 6th Parliament, ratified the state of emergency that was sent to Parliament by His Excellency the President for ratification. And 6 days after the swearing in of the 7th Parliament, the country went on lockdown for 5 weeks. And we only resumed sitting on the 26th of May. And that's when we started dealing with the legislation that were on the table. The effectiveness of Parliament then throughout the year of 2020 could be judged by the fact that Parliament was able to deal with the very important piece of legislation on time, despite the pandemic, where we first of all dealt with the appropriation bill, which is the budget, and that basically was meant to enable government to deliver the most needed services to the people, and that was dealt with, and several legislation then follows. However, we couldn't do certain things. For example, we couldn't induct the new members of Parliament on time. And when the induction finally took place, it was not the complete induction. It was half of what we usually present to the new members of Parliament, which is we inducted them on what is expected of them as members of Parliament. In the principle of Parliament, we couldn't call in experts to come and talk to them about their work as members of Parliament. We couldn't call in stakeholders to come and make their presentation to members of Parliament and build those important relations between Parliament and the people. So, yes, Parliament, I could say that the effectiveness of it last year was that we were able to deal with the most important legislations that enable government to deliver services to the people.
But you are conceding that the effectiveness was hampered.
Of course, it was hampered by the pandemic, like any other work of any parliament around the world, as we have seen on television or in the social media and or on the networks. You have seen that probably the world over, nothing was normal last year, and probably nothing is normal as we are speaking today.
Very well. You spoke to us about the tabling of the appropriation budget, a bill that set out the budget last year. That was also delayed twice, in fact, because of what had been unfolding, and you referred to other delays. So help us understand how severe the disruption actually was and how much in the end was left undone.
What we could say, the disruption basically, of course, it have impeded on the parliament calendar as we usually know it. For example, when you start a new parliament, the first week, we usually induct members of parliament and take them through the process or the expectation, how they should behave, what is expected of them as members of parliament. And then we go to the legislations. And then we go to the formation of committees. You remember that the committee were only formed sometimes in August last year. And that have impeded on the effectiveness of Parliament that, for example, the role of Parliament, that is oversight, was not really performed well last year because committees could not even hold public hearings, for example. They couldn't even go out there to the people and listen to the voices of the citizens out there. So that is left now. You remember that we have also received a number of petitions in the last 2 years. And those petitions, some of them supposed to be dealt with last year.
David, just very briefly,
Yes.
what are the implications of that oversight function of the committees being compromised in the way that it was last year?
Of course, the implication is that the issues or topical issues that were brought by citizens or to Parliament for parliaments to deal with could not be executed. So that means that we are a little bit lagging behind on that part of oversight. Certain things would pass without, being scrutinized by Parliament, or could be shelved for the time being because of lockdowns and all these issues that comes with the pandemic. And so on, the citizens could wait for longer for certain services that could have been delivered should the pandemic ended maybe in middle of last year or so.
Thank you. So today we start afresh with the opening of the 7th Parliament. What does the calendar look like for the National Assembly for 2021? Specifically, which bills are imminent and are expected to be tabled?
Yes, what we have received so far, maybe I can just go through the list of the titles that we have received. So far, we have received about 12 titles from the Minister of Justice for possible bills that could come to Parliament during the course of this year. This include the Combating of Rape Amendment Bill, Combating of Domestic Violence Amendment Bill, Criminal Procedures Amendment Bill, the High Court Amendment Bill, Magistrate Court Amendment Bill, Divorce Bill, Ombudsman Bill, Child Justice Bill, Marriage Bill, Uniform Marriages Bill, Banking Institution Amendment Bill, and Meteorology Bill. So these are some of the titles that we have received from the Minister of Justice, an indication that these bills could come to Parliament anytime soon. So Denver, just to take you through the first three bills, there was an indication last year that these bills were ready to come to Parliament towards the end of last year, but because of the regional and local authority elections that took place, National Council have to be dissolved. So those bills could not be dealt with during November because of the elections that took place. And hopefully these are bills that are ready already and could come to Parliament anytime. So we also expect during this month, the Minister of Finance to come and table the budget, of course. That is an enabler that would enable government to perform its duty. We then expect also the State of the Nation address sometimes in April. And then we will have a small break in May just to give the National Council time to deal with the budget. And then this session, the third session of the 7th Parliament then will end in the middle of July, with the second session starting in September and ending end of November.
Thank you, David. Speaking about the National Council, how would you describe the operations, the relationship between the National Council and the National Assembly last year under those circumstances?
Yes, the operation basically is what you can describe as cordial. The relationship between the two houses has improved so much that we are no longer talking about this house or that house. We're talking about Parliament as one, so that at least we start doing things more quickly. That even during the pandemic, that the two houses cooperate so much that we know exactly if a bill is with the National Assembly. National Council should already receive the copy of that bill so that they can go through and familiarize themselves with the principle and content of the bill, so that when the bill reaches the National Council, there would not be too much time wasted in waiting and all that. Consultation should take place on a daily basis. I can also say that at the level of the Secretariat, for example, we have had the reviewing, some workshop to review the standing rules and orders from November last year to January this year. And that was led by the two secretary of the Houses of Parliament, Ms. Lydia Kandetu, the Secretary to the National Assembly, and Ms. Advocate Tosi Namasep, the Secretary to the National Council. So they are leading this process. And in terms of preparation...
Just very briefly,
yes,
David.
Briefly. In terms of the preparation for today's official opening of Parliament, for the past 2 weeks, the Speaker and the Chairperson have been working together to ensure that this program as a joint session take place. So the relation between the two houses, we can say they are working together.
And notwithstanding the fact that we're looking at a scaled down event, it's of course a big day for the country because it's also Constitution Day today.
Yes, it's a Constitution Day. To coincide with the Constitution Day
Thank
today. The message is that, of course, we could not hold anything special or an event for Constitution Day.
Thank you, David.
The message is that for each and every one of us as Namibians, we should try by all means to make the Constitution a living document, to internalize and digest and ensure that the fundamental human rights and freedoms that are guaranteed in the Constitution are practiced.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time and best of luck for today.
Thank you very much.
There you have it, David Nahogandja, the PRO of the National Assembly, talking to us about the opening of the 7th Parliament today. It will be broadcast on all the NBC platforms, so please tune in there. And it's also Constitution Day in the land of the brave today. Make sure that we turn it into a living document.